So if you're watching this video and you are interested in firearms channels, and firearms reviews, you are probably interested or are familiar with the Yankee Marshal. The guy's been around for a really long time, and he's done gun reviews. He tries to be a little bit controversial to get some attention, and he has chosen a new hill to die on. It's an interesting hill to die on. Before we get started here, I want to say that I fully support making videos and sharing opinions that you believe on regardless of the consequences. When I started making videos about Black Rifle Coffee, they messaged me, they harassed me, they threatened to burn my business to the ground, they left my business negative, fake reviews. When I did a video about Rodney Taylor at Black Scout Survival, he called me, threatened to sue me, said he was going to take my house away from myself and my children and my wife, and then his wife called me and continued to threaten myself and my wife and my children, and I leave it all up. God's will. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. No reason to come back off of that line that you are willing to stand behind. However, the line that the Yankee Marshal is willing to stand behind, I find to be a rather uncomfortable one, and I cannot imagine what goes through a person's mind when he knows that an opinion like this is going to damage his channel and he thinks it's worth it. We have a little interview here. I'm going to post up the name of the interviewer, Band Zero, I believe it is, on Instagram and YouTube, as well as the Yankee Marshal. I'm going to play that clip and then we're just going to briefly talk about it.
Yeah, that doesn't exist on the computer. I see it on my phone, but it's not on the computer.
That's no worries, man. Let me go ahead and lay some ground rules and whatnot. I don't want to hide what I told you in the Instagram, direct message. I do believe that civil discourse is the best way to do things, and I don't want to seem like it's a gotcha, which is why I think a live is a good idea. So there's no chance of editing anything. It's your words, my words, unscripted. And I know that sometimes things can get lost in translation. I'm hoping that's where you fall on it because, like I said, full transparency, I do disagree with you. But instead of me putting words in your mouth or saying, hey, this is what happened, I'd like to give you the floor now to explain what you think happened in terms of the backlash and also your stance on the topic. And then I'll shut up now and I'll just wait until you're done and then we can go from there.
Well, actually, I would first have to know what part you disagree with before I can address it.
Okay. So what I disagree with is I do not believe it's acceptable for any grown man or woman to expose themselves to a child in a public setting.
So you're saying that if someone is naked in public and a child happens to see them, then they're a pedophile?
Well, I'm not saying that they're directly a pedophile. I think that it might be more.
Well, that's what people in that video chat that I was talking about, that's what they were saying. They were screaming pedophile. The guy who made the video is pretending to be all pissed off and, trying to get notoriety and money, of course. But the word pedophile keeps getting thrown around by people on the right. It's like the same way the left uses the word racist. It's just a word that they can use to call somebody something, and they feel like it invalidates them as a person. So people calling those people that were participating in a naked bike ride, which are permitted, they're usually permitted as what we call protests. They have the proper permits to do it, and they're publicized. People know when they're going to be. And people trying to say that those people participating in a naked bike ride are somehow pedophiles or proponents of pedophilia is ridiculous. And to try and pretend that that's the case really is a much greater indicator that there's probably something wrong with you that you're feeling bad about, that you're projecting issues upon others. Because when someone immediately jumps to something that is extremely negative, extremely rare, and is in no way appropriate to the situation, they're usually projecting because they have their own deep-seated issues. So, and then there's also the topic, so that's the main topic, that whole, no, those people participating in a naked bike ride, from what I hear, they're probably protesting big oil or something like that. They're not acting sexually towards any children. They're not doing anything negative to any children. So they are not pedophiles. The secondary issue is people that are so ashamed of the human body that they think the worst thing that can happen is a young person can see a naked person, not engaged in any sexual behavior, anything like that. That's like saying if you're at a public pool and you're in the dressing room, which is a public area, and you're naked and some kids walk in and they see you, oh my God, that's the worst thing that ever happened, you're a pedophile. That's ridiculous. And when people scream wolf all the fucking time, it gets to where nobody wants to listen to them yell wolf anymore. And it makes it easy for real people to do bad things and get away with it. In fact, usually the people that do bad things and get away with it are the people that are rallying you to scream at other people that aren't doing anything wrong.
So I'm going to go piece by piece then. One, I can't speak for everybody else in the comments, but I can speak to my opinion. My opinion is I think it is pedophilic. All right. I'll use that word. I think it's pedophilic to go to a public space to where you know children are, right, and to purposely expose your body, right? And
it is not. It is not pedophilic. That is not anything near the definition of pedophilia.
Well,
pedophilia is a sexual attraction to prepubescent people.
Yes.
So unless you have a sexual attraction or you act upon a sexual attraction to prepubescent people, or it causes you mental duress that you are attracted to prepubescent people, you are not pedophilic.
So hold on. Let me get my, because like I said, I want us to be respectful to each other. What is the point of going to a strip club? Would you go to a strip club where people are dressed like Amish people?
Well, even if I went to a strip club, that would be something overtly sexual.
Yeah, but would people go to a strip club to where people are dressed like Amish people?
So you mean they don't take those clothes off, they keep them on?
Yes.
Well, that's not a strip club.
Okay, but my point is, strip club is inherently sexual.
Yeah.
And by nature,
strip clubs are very sexual. I even mentioned that to someone in the comments.
Yeah.
So they said, so you think kids should be able to go to strip clubs? No, those are inherently sexual. And then they claim that they've never seen anything sexual at a strip club, which I was like, well, then you're obviously 12 and you've never been to a strip club, because there's lots of sexual things happen at a strip club.
Okay, so that actually leads into my point. A strip club is inherently sexual, specifically because of the parts that it's a grown person. It's a grown person who is openly showing their body in a very suggestive way, right? That is what makes it inherently sexual. You can do all the dancing and X, Y, and Z, right? But you can go to any club and have a beautiful woman dressed in a crop top and jeans dancing on you. You're not going to consider that a strip club. It might be sexual, but you're not going to consider it a strip club.
Would you think that was appropriate with a child?
Absolutely not. No, I don't think anything
so no one should do that.
Okay,
but if they're just if let's say you go to school and a teacher's wearing a dress that shows cleavage, does that make her a pedophile? Especially if her kids are like high school and junior high kids?
I think if she exposes her nipples to the children who are, and I wrote down the word, but specifically they're impressionable, right? A child outside of, they just know, when it comes to a child, all they know about body parts is what their parents and what anything surrounding them is going to tell them, right? There's no reason that a little girl should have grown men showing their balls and their penis to them, walking up.
No one was showing their balls or penis to anyone.
But if
they were in a situation where they were at an event that was a nudist event, like being at a nude beach. If you take your child to a nude beach and she sees a nude person, are you abusing your child, or are those people there that are on the nude beach, are they pedophiles?
Well, the difference is the nude beach is isolated to a spot rather than being in a city.
These permitted events, they're in a specific area, they get permits, etc.
But that doesn't matter. There's a difference on where the
but
location.
It's still not pedophilia in any form of the word. There's nothing sexual in that picture that guy was throwing a fit about. There was no indication of anyone doing anything sexual towards a child, period. But people want to scream pedophilia, like I said, because they think it's a word that they can just yell, and anyone that disagrees with them is somehow bad. So yes, I knew exactly what I was saying in that video, and I knew exactly what the response was going to be. It was going to be a bunch of small-minded, ignorant people who want to try to enforce their opinions on everyone just because they find something mildly offensive, like nudity. They're going to try to turn that into something really offensive, like pedophilia, when it isn't, and it's not even related to pedophilia.
So you don't. So just to clarify, you don't see a problem with a little girl or a little boy in a public space. They could be walking to McDonald's, to their local grocery store, whatever, being a grown man in a group of grown men naked.
And women. It was men and women.
Okay, well, men and women, because like I said, I don't care who.
Yeah, people just focus on the men.
Well, because most of the time, I mean, majority of those people that in that picture were men, right? I can't speak to the whole event.
Well, that's because that's a very limited perspective on what was going on.
Like I said, I'm not biased towards whether it's a man or a woman. If you are naked and you are exposing yourself in a public arena, like a city street, to children, I see an issue with that, and I see that as a very
but that's not. You don't. It's not the issue. Isn't because it's pedophilia. You just don't like public nudity.
No, I think that it's pedophilic to specifically think.
It's not pedophilia. If they are not acting sexually towards someone, it is not pedophilia. That's like saying it's murder if you don't stab somebody, but you happen to be standing with a knife near them. No, it's not pedophilia.
Okay, so we could speak to intent then, right? Because just because I don't stab the person doesn't mean I didn't have intent to stab the person.
But until you do it, it's not murder.
Right, but I could still have the intent. So
well, where do you see any intent in that picture of anybody to do anything sexual towards a child?
I do, because they're openly and easily and purposely exposing themselves to children.
They're naked in a place where a child saw them. That is not pedophilia. Please tell me the definition, where in the definition of a pedophilia does it say, if you at any time are naked in a situation where someone underage could see, that is pedophilia?
Okay, I'm going to take a play out of the book from A Few Good Men. You were in the service, right, Yankee?
Yep.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, what branch was it?
Army.
Okay, y'all call it the latrine, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Or head. Some people call it the head still.
Okay, I was going to say, in the Marine Corps, we call it the head. You can't find anywhere in any booklet anywhere that says anything about the head, but we know it exists, right? So just by going off of, well, the definition of pedophilia says this, that means it doesn't fit into the category.
All right, full disclosure, I did edit this clip. About the first 9 minutes of the clip was Yankee Marshall trying to figure out how to get onto the video. So that was clipped. And the end of the video I cut short because I was tired of watching it. I'm not editing what I have to give you the cliff notes or anything else. I'm not hiding information. I'm going to play I played all of the information that I have, and you can go and you can watch the original full clip. I'll even put a link to that full clip pinned in the comment section below. So I am not sharing the entire conversation, and the reason is I didn't want to watch the entire conversation. But I believe that I am sharing enough to come to an educated decision. If you disagree with me, you can go watch the whole thing, and that's completely fine. The problem here is the hill that the Yankee Marshal is willing to die on is supporting men pulling their penises out in public in front of children. So a quick little thing here. Is having your genitalia as a man or a woman viewed by a child in and of itself pedophilia? No, it is not. Certain instances were mentioned, like in the locker room at a public swim pool and other places, and the exact action in and of itself solely of being seen by someone does not mark your particular type of sexual dysmorphia or mental illness. With that being said, do we have scriptural context to state that a person who supports or believes in something or a set of actions is equally guilty to the person performing that action? Yes, we do. It's Romans 1. Now, Romans 1 is very specific, maybe a little bit more specific than some people realize, and probably a little bit less specific than other people realize. We have in Romans 1, Paul talking to the Church of Romans about Christians in the church being men lying with another man as a woman. And the last verse here, we have the punishment deserved for such. This is Christians performing acts of homosexuality, who knowing the judgment of God, they which commit such things are worthy of death. The important part here, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do it. All right, so you get into your definitions and everything like that, and the Christians who are supporting these actions within the Christian church are guilty of the same punishment as the Christians performing the action. What we have is degeneracy. So, in a men's locker room, which, by the way, old guys, just because your junk doesn't work anymore does not give you free reign to pull it, to just whip it out. And yeah, I think we need some locker room reform with old people in the public swim rooms. I do. I'm sorry. But we no longer have a sexual organ in the men's locker room. We have a non-sexual organ. We got a piss tube at their point, at what he's referring to. Whereas in the case of these men in public, they are going through the process of getting permitted by their government to walk around naked in a public place. So not only do we have some level of degeneracy there and evil, but we're going to have, of course, a high percentage of pedophilia. Why? Well, why do pedophiles keep getting caught at Disneyland? Why do we keep having pedophiles pop up as school teachers? Why do we keep having pedophiles popping up in the Catholic Church? Because pedophiles who are interested in pedophilia are looking for things to do to satiate their sexual desires. It should be simple. If you're sexually attracted to children, you look for ways to be sexually aroused by children. Why do we have drag queens and trans people reading books in libraries? We are normalizing degeneracy. Okay, so nude beaches were brought up. A nude beach is a nude beach. So if you bring your kids to a nude beach, that's a problem. There are water parks in Germany that are only naked on certain days of the week or of the month. And so in these places, is everybody who goes there a pedophile? No. But when you are trying to legally expose yourself in public in the middle of the city, would you be a pedophile or be associated with pedophilia? Yes, especially by our Romans 1 example. If you are the city official that approves of such degeneracy, could you be lumped in with pedophilia? Yes. If you are a guy making YouTube videos in support of a man pulling his junk out in front of children, or a woman, could you be lumped in with the pedophiles? Yes. If you are a parent who sees this going on and just decides to continue walking your children through the street as penises are flopping all over the place, could you be lumped in yourself with the pedophiles? And should that say something about how you're raising your children? Yes. Homosexuality is propagated through children, not by the creation of children, but by the mutation of children and by the warping of the mind. So, is Yankee Marshall deciding to whip the guns out in support of this perversion? Has it earned him the heat that he is getting as a pedophile? I'm sorry. Yep, it does. He mentions this in his other videos for all of his tens of new subscribers. Maybe he's making his living based off of his YouTube. He's got well over 300,000 subscribers. He gets enough views. It should be easy. Does he need to toe the line of pedophilia to get people talking about him to make a little bit of money? No, he does not. So wherever you go with that, guys, I absolutely believe if there is no victim, there is no crime. Is there a victim in this case? Why does it matter that the people that we are talking about are children? Why do we protect children? Well, Matthew 18:6, if anyone causes one of these little ones those who believe in me to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. We protect children because we know they are susceptible. They don't have the life experience to know right from wrong necessarily without their children, and they can be corrupted to believe that what they know to be wrong is acceptable. Not that Sigmund Freud necessarily is always right or deserves to be quoted, but he talks about how a thought can change a mind and can change the body ultimately. So you convince a child that what they know is wrong is actually not so wrong, and you can change their entire life. Hitler targeted the children. Today's homosexual movement and trans movement and everything else movement, degeneracy movement, porn industry, everything is targeting the children. And it's not new. They have been for a long time. It's very interesting to me, all of the people that are so staunchly against all of this degeneracy, but who revel in pornography and being degenerate themselves and moving away from traditional values themselves, they just draw the line somewhere on there. At the end of the day, protect your children, because the people that want to corrupt your children, they're in the libraries, they're in the government, they're in the school system. Just like the pedophiles, they are there to pervert your children, and they might not want to have sex with your kids themselves, but they want to support those who do. Or maybe they don't want to support the people that are going to have sex with your kids, but maybe they want your kids to grow up confused and want to chop their own wieners off or their boobs. Maybe they want to get them on some testosterone therapy. I really don't have to go into detail about how this anti-Christ agenda is targeting your children, because if it's not clear to you, I'm not going to be the one to make it clear to you. But as a whole, yeah, Yankee, bad move, dude. Absolutely bad move. Do you support or oppose men? How can you even be a man and walk in public with your genitalia out and see children and act like it's normal? Lord forbid someday I end up in public naked. Maybe I'm carrying a cross. Maybe I've been beaten half to death. Maybe I'm in shackles. I'm going to cover up. Am I going to cover up for every adult that I see, for every woman? Maybe not. Maybe I won't. Maybe I need to cover my body from being hit from some other direction, and that's a higher priority to me than covering up here. But if I see kids, yeah, I'm gonna take it. What kind of a man? Okay, if you might not be a pedophile, what has to be wrong with you to go out in public with people who don't want to be there to see nudity and to allow yourself to be seen in front of children? What has to be wrong with you, man or woman? And Yankee Marshall was like, well, is every woman who's a high school teacher and leaves her cleavage hanging out for her students to see, is she a pedophile? Yes, if you want, whatever you do, intention, okay? Whatever you do, if you do anything to get attention from your students, sexual attention from your students, even if you're not going to follow through with it, yeah, you're a pedophile. Because you're looking for sexual attention from children. That might not be cleavage. That might be a look. That might be a wink. That might be the way you move, like, oops, I dropped a pen. You're literally going to bring up, oh, is every woman who shows some cleavage to her high school students, is she a pedophile? In a world where we hear nothing but young teachers sleeping with students. You don't have the ability to. So, and you know, I was about to wrap it up, but I tell you what, Yankee. Well, if you think that this is a problem, it's probably because you got a problem. It's because you got a problem, buddy. You know, I don't know what's wrong with your own self if you're a pedophile yourself, but if you've got a problem with men showing their, or women, if you've got a problem with adults showing their genitalia to children in public, it's probably because you're a pedophile. No, buddy, you're calling that reflection, but you're supporting it because of your own sickness. You are literally reflecting this sickness on the people who are talking to you. So just because you use the right term and accuse them of being the problem that you are supporting does not mean that they're reflecting, because you are literally, by the textbook, yourself reflecting. And of course you're going to blame other people for reflecting. That's what reflecting is. Let me know. What do you think? Adults exposing themselves to children in public environments that are not only sectioned off for nudity, pedophilia or not, let me know. Talk to you in the comment section below. Oh, and I didn't say it before, but Yankee and Rodney at Black Scout Survival, when you guys make a video after Jaeger's passing to get a few clicks, yes, that did make you a piece of human trash. I didn't do the videos that I wanted to do, and I actually still haven't, because I don't want to be lumped in with the absolute scumbags who are going to use Jaeger's death as a way to get a few more clicks and a couple more bucks as you're shilling garbage products to people who don't know any better. You didn't know Jaeger, you didn't hang out with Jaeger, you talk crap about Jaeger. Rodney, do you ever go get any training with Jaeger? Do you ever get any training at all? No. And everybody who has ever gotten training can tell in your videos. What a piece of human garbage you have to be to have used that for a few clicks. Absolutely freaking disgusting.